Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today. I very much can agree to the C's that were shown here earlier when I came in. And one of those that is extremely important for our ministry is connectivity. How do we make sure that we also rethink connectivity from the way that we have been thinking about it in the past? Finland has very much been used to defining ourselves as an island. When we talk to our logistics companies, when we talk to our transportation companies, they always remind me that we have to consider that Finland is an island, that we are at the end of the world. But that doesn't have necessarily to be like that. We are, and we can be, not only a hub for airline transportation between Asia and Europe, but we can also be a hub for transporting people, goods, and services. We can be a hub for transporting and connecting with data. And we can make a difference and say that Finland can be in the center of the world. So for us, connectivity is really about connecting people, connecting goods, connecting data, and connecting services. How do we look at that? First of all, in the ministry right now, we would like to see that we can connect ourselves between Asia and Europe by creating a connecting point for the free flow of data. So we would like to see that the North-East Passage data cable project can be a real project from the start of next year, where we can have a data cable connecting China, Japan, Russia, Norway, Finland, all the way down to Germany. Data is the fuel for our next growth, and that way it is important that we can have a free flow of fast-speed data. At the same time, it also reminds us that this is also part truly for our connections in transport. We are today looking at how can we connect ourselves from the northern part of Norway all the way through to Berlin, for goods and for people. So by the end of February, we will have a study where we can look at the Arctic Rail. We are doing this study together with the Norwegian government, where we look at would it be of interest in building a railway connection coming from the Arctic seas down through to Rovaniemi, all the way through to Finland, connecting ourselves then between a new fixed link between Tallinn and Helsinki, connecting to Rail Baltica, and from there all the way to Berlin. Often we see and we say that those connections are not real investments, that they are not viable, that they are not giving us enough reason in order to be valid for further studies or for further looking into investments or finance. But for us, it's also a question of what do these connections actually enable? And our role as government has to be a constant search for how can we enable more? And how can we create possibilities that enable new ways of looking, new entrepreneurship, new business models, and also new ways, especially for travel and tourism. The Arctic Rail would be something that would look into and give us possibilities in exploring our minerals, our resources, but at the same time also creating new opportunities for travel up to the north. At the same time, we have to understand that new railways always go through nature, go through new areas, and also create discussions where we have to find where are our values and what do we think is more important. What do we need in order to be able to create a decision? And are we, within Finland, unanimous? The Norwegian government has been highly supporting of this project and is also very much looking forward to our decisions and our capabilities of making those decisions within our Nordic areas. At the same time, almost within a few days, the study of the Finest link, the fixed link between Tallinn and Helsinki, will also be ready by the beginning of February. There, the question is, what kind of investment will it be? We have learned that so many tunnels have not been valid, or not been sustainable, or not been profitable. But again, the question is, should we link ourselves to Central Europe with a fixed link? And what would that make? And what kind of a difference would it make? Today, the harbors between Helsinki and Tallinn are already one of the most traveled and have some of the most passengers. Can we benefit from that more if we add logistics and how we move goods from the northern part of Finland all the way through down to Central Europe? China has been advocating its interest both in travel, tourism in our north, but also in infrastructure. The first train of goods leaving from Kouvola to the Chinese city of Xi'an is leaving this year, week 45 already. And there we can already see possibilities, again, of connecting ourselves to the east. So our possibilities are many. We can be a hub not only for airline and air traffic, we can be a hub for railways and rail trafficking and rail passengers, but we can also be a hub that is concentrated between Europe, Asia, and the Nordic parts of the countries. Our government has made a clear statement that we think digitalization, creating experiments, looking for connectivity, looking for new options, but also to look for content is what this government should be about. And so we have to look what is necessary in order to be able to strengthen also our travel sector. My colleagues at the Ministry for Economics and Employment have set a new space where we say that we need a program, Travel 4.0. There we need to look what are the obstacles in today's environment, what are the possibilities that are maybe not fully explored, and what can we do more. And there we see that there are still some things which also from a governmental perspective can be done better. One of those being the ways that we can have employment more flexible. One of the things being how we can use real-time data more efficiently. And also how we can make sure that some of the regulations which are in place today can be more enabling in the future. One of the important things that we have been working on has been mobility as a service. Transportation and how we move around in the country, within the country, but also between, for instance, the Nordic countries, is something where we can enable activities, but also the movement of travel, tourism, and also our local people. Mobility as a service has been created and enabled by the possibility of the Transport Act. That's a new piece of legislation which will be valid from its data points from the 1st of January next year, and from market entry obstacles from the 1st of July 2018. With that, we want to create a market which is open for transporting goods, people, and services within the same vehicles, creating the same ticketing system, mobile payments, and also making sure that every service can be door-to-door. With that, we hopefully can create a completely different way of enabling services also within the field of travel. That means we can combine travel businesses with transportation businesses. We can enable new services in local areas by combining different ways of moving services and goods. And we can also make sure that all of that is digital based on real-time data with mobile payments. The question then really is, how will that be used? And how will the entrepreneurs and service providers take advantage of those new options and those new possibilities? One of the major developments and most important things will be the future of data economy. The question is, how will we take advantage when we will have, from transport, from our traffic systems, from communications, have real-time data where we can then help to provide services for all those who are interested. Our infrastructure will become more and more a platform for services and ecosystems. There will be data available on movements of people, but also on the kind of services that are real-time needed and also can be provided. Again, how many of the companies are today already using open data surfaces and sharing, and from that sharing, creating new kinds of business models and new possibilities for services? The travel sector today is about 14 billion euro, and we are hoping that Finland can achieve by 2025 a revenue of about 20 billion euros. There is room for growth, there is room for possibilities, there is room for new options. Everything that can be done by ways of regulation, by ways of utilizing real-time data, by creating better and new connectivity, should be taken further. And to that, the Ministry of Transport and Communications is very much committed. Thank you.